What are some warnings for anyone interested in your career field? Depending on the type of welding you do, just be ready to get burned, get in awkward-ass positions and lift some heavy shit. Teaching may seem like a very rewarding job, and it can be, but what people don't see are the hours of preparation for lessons that goes on behind the scenes. This, combined with endless marking, paperwork, pointless staff meetings, bad behavior from both students and parents, can make teaching a very difficult profession, and you can burn out very easily. It doesn't surprise me something like 50% of new graduates leave within the first 5 years. Music, one of the most satisfying professions, however, bad pay, hard to get known, hard to secure gigs. People think because what you do is art, they shouldn't have to pay for it. You should try to innovate, as, in my place at least, there are a lot of amateurs that use public relations to get ahead. Networking is key, and I'm bad at it. Teaching, tutoring is usually unavoidable. It's the easiest thing to take up if you struggle with steady gigs. Transitioning from professor to private therapist. Professor academia is fun and all because the people are basically all insane, but then the university decides that tenure isn't worth it right now and you will just be a lecturer forever. Also, college kids are assholes. Therapist time effectively on second shift hours because I need people to get off their 9-5 jobs before they show up, so I work from 4:12 or so. If you got this far, you'd know damn well what kind of cesspool you are going into, but the hours now ... bleh. I worked as a professional animator for 15-20 years. What I wish I knew before I graduated: talent is only part of it. Excellent social skills and friends will get you much further than raw talent. Most studios want younger artists that can work like dogs, and who don't have pesky families to interfere with overtime. Once you hit your 40s, it becomes progressively harder to find work that goes double if you're female. You better be damn good with computers, and keep up to date with every program. People who know the programs get hired even if they're crappy artists. Don't even bother to apply at a union shop if you're not already a member. Be prepared to just work temp gigs. Full-time jobs with benefits are few and far between. Would I have entered the field if I knew all that then? Who the hell knows? It did have its moments. CSI here. This is my short list. No, it's not like TV. Yes, you will have to touch dead bodies, warm ones, cold ones, stiff, loose, bloody, covered in vomit and human waste, the whole 9 yards. You will have to see and work with people who may not live beyond tomorrow. You will have to see and work with people who've been beaten within an inch of their life, young and old. People are assholes to you even if you are not a cop. No, we don't have all those cool gadgets you see on TV to solve your case any quicker. You will testify in court and be scrutinized within an inch of your life, and it will give you serious imposter syndrome. Edit, because I forgot this big one. Police departments are open 24/7/365/6. You will work holidays, nights, get called in on days off, have a boatload of overtime. Edit number 2, typo, at work currently, so take that as you will lol. Journalism, come join the oversubscribed sinking ship that pays less each year, and in exchange you'll get to work longer hours writing increasingly poorly funded articles, about increasingly asinine topics, that increasingly fewer people bother to read. It's not like in the movies. Teaching may seem like a very rewarding job, and it can be, but what people don't see are the hours of preparation for lessons that goes on behind the scenes. This, combined with endless marking, paperwork, pointless staff meetings, bad behavior from both students and parents, can make teaching a very difficult profession, and you can burn out very easily. It doesn't surprise me something like 50% of new graduates leave within the first 5 years. Working in the non-profit sector can be fulfilling and amazing, but you will never get paid what you're worth or anywhere close to it. You will most likely work long hours and have crappy benefits, and the for-profit sector will never take your skill set seriously and have trouble seeing how it translates to their corporation. People will also assume that you don't expect to be paid well, and it's some type of sin to ask for decent compensation because you're helping the community. I worked as a professional animator for 15-20 years. What I wish I knew before I graduated: talent is only part of it. Excellent social skills and friends will get you much further than raw talent. Most studios want younger artists that can work like dogs, and who don't have pesky families to interfere with overtime. Once you hit your 40s, it becomes progressively harder to find work that goes double if you're female. You better be damn good with computers, and keep up to date with every program. People who know the programs get hired even if they're crappy artists. Don't even bother to apply at a union shop if you're not already a member. Be prepared to just work temp gigs. Full-time jobs with benefits are few and far between. Would I have entered the field if I knew all that then? Who the hell knows? It did have its moments. Transitioning from professor to private therapist. Professor academia is fun and all because the people are basically all insane, but then the university decides that tenure isn't worth it right now and you will just be a lecturer forever. Also, college kids are assholes. Therapist time effectively on second shift hours because I need people to get off their 9-5 jobs before they show up, so I work from 4:12 or so. If you got this far, you'd know damn well what kind of cesspool you are going into, but the hour is now ... Blay. In the auto body and paint industry, it is a well-known fact that in-job, hands-on experience, making mistakes, and learning from your peers is 100% so much more valuable than a tech school degree. I'm not saying you shouldn't do tech school. Hell, I did it for me mechanics. It was awesome. Look at it as a way to get the concepts established. You also have a much better chance of getting your foot in the door of a shop. If you are passionate about it, have a good attitude, and are willing to listen and learn from guys that have been doing it a while, you will flourish, and can earn pretty good coin. What I see is a lot is young dudes fresh out of tech school start at a shop thinking they know everything. Unfortunately, that is never the case. Ever. That kind of attitude won't get you far, and they usually don't last very long. If you play an instrument or sing, it can be very tempting, so say you'll pick up teaching on the side and make some extra money. First of all, building a studio is very difficult, unless you get super lucky and the teacher retires and gives you all their students. Students are not just going to fall in your lap. It takes a lot of passing around business cards, establishing connections. Secondly, just because you can play your instrument doesn't mean you can teach it. You also have to be proficient in the thing you're trying to teach. I've had many students who had previous teachers that could not teach, and they wasted so much time just running through pieces rather than teaching them techniques. I have also seen students who could outplay their teachers. Thirdly, you have to have your own library of pieces. You have to make game plans with students. You have to know what they're capable of at the level they are at. Students, especially older ones, come in with lofty goals of playing hard pieces. Don't just set the sheet music down in front of them and teach them the notes. Know your limits. If you don't know how to teach beginners, don't do it. If you aren't skilled enough to teach advanced high schoolers, don't do it. The biggest warning: parents are insane. They think their kid is special and can do no wrong. They won't make sure the kid is practicing. They won't pay you. They'll argue about maintenance on their kid's instrument. They will use you for babysitting. You must establish a contact with payment instructions and adhere to it, or you will get screwed out of money. It's fun to watch kids learn. It really is. Not every kid is a demon spawn. Not every student is terrible, but don't just think you'll teach on the side. It's not easy money. There's a very common misconception about aerospace that I would like to correct. Everyone thinks that aerospace is one of the most technologically advanced sectors because we build these amazing metal flying machines, defying gravity and manipulating the laws of physics. This is wrong. The Boeing 747 first flew in 1969, and was being designed as early as 1959. Airbus A300 series aircraft, A320, 340 and 380, all started in the 1970s. All these aircraft you see flying today may look sleek, but underneath all that aluminum and plastic is a world of old and outdated tech, and the reason for it all? Because it works. In aerospace, the cost of failure can be catastrophic. One failing critical part can bring an aircraft down with hundreds on board. So everything needs to be tried, tested, proved, validated and qualified to the nth degree before it can go on an aircraft. So just beware any budding engineers. The tech is old and the process is slow to modernize, all for the right reasons but still frustrating nonetheless. If you plan to be a graphic designer, illustrator, be wary of your environment and who you spend time with. Individuals in this field will steal your ideas and accuse you for copying things, and clients will try to make you copy someone else's work. This field is chaotic, so be sure to know your rights and have everything in writing so you don't get screwed over. I'm an academic, final year of literature PhD, and I write fiction. I'd say everything takes way longer than you think. Things are slowly coming together for me. PhD going well, stacking up some publications, novel coming out next year, but it took a lot longer than I thought when I was starting out. I don't think this is a bad thing at all, but it's something to keep in mind to avoid discouragement early on. For example, I had a meeting 2 years ago about a chapter 1 was writing. Nothing came of it until last month, but now I'm potentially getting that chapter in a book, which is great news. Patience is key. I think this is probably applicable to many things in life, not just work. Marketing. Every supervisor ever thinks they know better than you. Every disgruntled boss who's mad that business isn't picking up will blame anything and everything but their facility, cleanliness, work ethic. Listen, a good marketing campaign, rare, can do wonders for a business. A bad one can sink it into the ground. Either way, if you get into marketing, unless you have friends in high places, expect people who have no idea what you do speaking down to you because they think they can do your job. Go ahead. Spend the money to print that borderline offensive graphic on your flyers, riddled with typos. I'll wait. Music, one of the most satisfying professions. However, bad pay, hard to get known, hard to secure gigs. People think because what you do is art, they shouldn't have to pay for it. You should try to innovate, as, in my place at least, there are a lot of amateurs that use public relations to get ahead. Networking is key and I'm bad at it. Teaching, tutoring is usually unavoidable. It's the easiest thing to take up if you struggle with steady gigs. Photography. If you truly want to make it in this game, you'll have to tackle certain things. Actually know how to take a photo. I'm talking composition, color, lighting, framing, etc. It always hurts me to see people cash out on some $1,000 camera just to take blurry, contrasted and all around bad photos and then try to clean it in post without knowing what it is they're trying to do. No camera. You will have to shoot in manual, no aperture, shutter speed, ISO, white balance, all of that. Like I said above, don't buy some top-of-the-line, luxury camera and not know how to use these things. You won't have a long career trying to rely on the preset camera modes. You're gonna have to find a way to stand out. Photographers are a dime a dozen and it can be really disheartening to see a photographer getting all kinds of business but their work is absolutely basic. But practicing your foundation, with whatever genre you capture, will catapult you to a premium level service. Practice those foundational concepts. Really learn your camera. You can buy a $500 camera and be 10x the photographer with the $2,000 camera because you know what you're doing. And once you know what you're doing, that's when you can break the rules and get creative. Surprised there isn't a comment about a science career here. In short, after you finish your degree you will have no job security unless you get tenure. You will be highly pressured to publish, which leads to nice people being turned into monsters, and there is no guarantee you will have publishable results at the end of the project. Sometimes you will have a 20-30 hour work week, especially if your work involves a lab. And sometimes you will have a 60-hour work week. Be prepared to work a lot and end up having less results than the person next to you. Also, a PhD is pretty much a requirement nowadays. Since it's the only time you will have a 3-4 year contract too. Everyone and their mother has one. It all comes down to luck, lab funds and networking skills. I'm a registered nurse. You will be the catch-all of the facility. If someone calls off or they are short, the following disciplines' responsibilities will be added to yours: PT, OT, dietary, janitor, secretary, medical records, and make sure you double-check MD orders and what pharmacy sends you. If you give it and it's wrong you will be liable. Facilities value doctors far beyond you. Nurses are often considered replaceable. You will be screwed over often by management. They will not defend you. You will get BS ratios. They may try to force you to do OT with rotating shifts. And if you mess up, they may try to take your license. I've seen it. Work hard to perfect your practice. Join a union facility if possible. Hold out for the best pay you can, the best conditions you can. Once you get your experience, don't let them abuse you. They will try. Remember the lessons you learned in nursing school to protect your license. No one will do it for you. I have 10 years experience. I've worked LTC, LTAC, Psych, Corrections, Mr. IDD, Agency, and MedSurg. I've worked in 2 states. Management is largely the same everywhere. I don't regret being a nurse, but FFS you gotta be careful. Not fully in my field yet, but specifically public accounting. Most CPAs I see are miserable and work-life balance is very difficult to attain, especially at big firms. Busy seasons clock around a minimum of 55 per week. And my current manager said he'd been doing 60 hours a week for 6 weeks straight, and that's not even the high end. Bigger firms will require 60-80/week. All the schooling and testing for an average starting salary in the 50-60K range. You're better off getting a job in a different field or doing private accounting. Be careful who you trust because people are shady, especially if you're indie. There's shitty people in the industry and people who will want to make a quick buck off you if they don't throw you under the bus. So, be prepared for people who will buy your content just to upsell elsewhere or sell, distribute bootlegs of. A filmmaker I follow who lives and works in Japan made a post saying he found out that copies of his recent film are surfacing on Chinese bootleg sites and he's only ever sold a few copies or gave them out to friends as of the post going up. If you're going to pirate something, do it to the big studios and companies who won't notice or miss it since they're swimming in cash. But don't cheat the little guy. That's so shitty. Programmer, you will need to exercise, like proper get your ass to the gym exercise. Sitting 8 hours a day for work, and then choosing sitting-based hobbies is not good for your body. It's a recipe for getting fat, getting hemorrhoids, and letting the connective tissue at your joints go to waste. Also your wrists will end up hurting. Stockbroker, you're going to need thick skin. Clients can be downright nasty to you, especially if they're experiencing issues with your trading platform. You realize pretty quick a good majority of these guys are straight up gambling addicts and will flip shit if they don't get their fix. Other than that, knowledge is your friend. You need to be always learning. The more you know, the more clients appreciate you. I'm a DJ and I watch DJs quickly crash and burn because they are too cocky. There was one guy who came to play at a club with very little experience. I regularly DJ it and I asked him where he likes to get his music and he told me I'm better than all other DJs. I make my own remixes and edits and mashups because I don't play to the crowd, they play to me. I opened for him and brought a full house, 300 plus. Crowd. After he played for 30 minutes there was only 20 people left, and before there was 20 or so minutes left for the night no one was on the dance floor for the rest of the night. Moral of the story: don't be cocky when you are a nobody.